Yo, in this video, I want to talk about one thing that will give you the power to take control of your life and the actions that you make within it. And that one thing is accountability for your actions, taking 100% responsibility for everything in your life. The power of accountability has the power to change your life. Back a few years ago, during COVID, I was living a life where I felt like I had no control over what I was doing. I was trapped in bad habits. I didn't know how to improve. It always felt like something else was responsible for the problems I found myself in. It wasn't my fault. It was the fact that other people are so much better than me that I had no way of changing, and my actions didn't actually mean anything. But a few years later, I was hitting rock bottom, and I saw this guy on YouTube, and he was changing his life through his actions. He went from absolutely nothing to growing to be someone who changed, who I could look up to. And that was a game changer for me to realize if he could do it, I could probably do it as well. And my self-improvement journey started with like the realization that my actions mattered. That if I went to the gym and I just showed up for 6 months straight consistently, I would make change in my body and I could have a muscular body too. It was a really hard thing to internalize. But the fact is, when you take responsibility for getting your own needs met and getting the things you want to accomplish done, you have the power to change your life. The fact that I started going to the gym, it was a little unconscious at first, but I was taking responsibility for changing my body and how I felt about my life. That started back in 2022. Over 31 months, I have improved, taken more responsibility for my life, and grown from the fact that I have the power, I have the control to change who I am. And it has paid out dividends over those 31 months. The thing is, I'm not special. I still have a lot of accountability to take, a lot of room to grow, and a lot of improvement to be made. But if I could do it, if other people can do it, you can do it as well. So, how do you start taking accountability for your life? Well, the first thing you need to realize is that you control the actions you take or don't take and how you respond to situations in your life. There's nobody else to hold your hand or guide you except you. You are responsible for the choices that you make, whether you sit down and watch television or sit down and read a book, whether you play video games or you go on a walk. Everything comes down to what you choose to do, what excuses you let fill up your mind, stop you from taking action. If you want to take accountability for your actions, you need to learn that you are responsible for what you choose to do. That is the biggest thing, that your choices matter. And it depends on if you start getting defensive when somebody calls you out. What do you choose to do? Do you lash out or do you take accountability for realizing, yo, I did mess up. I'm sorry. Like, I'll do better next time. Because you can't take responsibility and credit for all the good things that you're doing and then leave out all the bad. You need to realize that you do good things and bad things, and you have to take accountability for both of those. That's how you grow, and that's how you can start taking responsibility for your actions. Realize that there's nobody else who's holding you back, who's oppressing you. It's you. There's no excuses to be made if you're fat and you don't know how to change. Like, you are responsible for that. You chose to eat the food. You built up those habits from a long time ago, and that's how it's affected you today. You could still change. It's completely up to you. But there's nobody else to blame except for the person who got you fat, which is yourself. Same thing if you're not muscular. Same thing if you want to get better at talking to people. It is not other people's fault. It is your fault for getting yourself in that situation. Or if the situation was out of your control, you're in control of how you respond to it now. Say you had really harsh, overprotective parents who never let you out of the house since you were a kid. That is not your fault. It is out of your control, for sure. What is in your control is how you respond to that. After you graduate and you move out to a dorm, what is your response? Are you going to stay hidden away and not converse with anyone? Or are you going to get out, face your fears, even though it feels life-threatening, and work on improving? It is up to you how you respond to the situation. A story that I found impactful and insightful for this sort of message would be about James Stockdale. James Stockdale was a man who is a military admiral and aviator who got shot down while flying over Vietnam. The Vietnamese captured him and put him into Hanoi death camp. From there, his life was one of survival. Now, he could have lamented his situation in a very, very difficult place. He got put into a war camp, like a POW camp, He was tortured, hurt, like not mutilated, but it was a difficult situation. And every single day was one of survival. He could have responded in a way where he's thinking he's very unlucky to be where he is, that his circumstances suck. He could hope for escape, rescue, whatever. What he chose to do was to take full accountability for his actions and focus only on what he could control. His precept that he lived by was cease to hope and you will cease to fear. He didn't focus on anything else. He took full responsibility for his own emotions, his own responses, his own actions, and he survived. He chose to only focus on what he could, and that was to survive each and every single day, even though it was brutally difficult. And he survived. He made it out. He came back and he wrote stories, wrote books, but philosophy helped him. And his response, his control over his life, that gave him the power to survive the camp, to live on, even though it looks hopeless, looks bleak. He only focused on what was in his control. So, for yourself, you gotta learn, how can I adopt this mindset within my own life? How can I take responsibility for my actions, and where haven't I been taking responsibility in my life? Where are situations where I feel like everything's out of my control and I am completely powerless? And dig a little bit deeper and ask yourself, where am I not taking responsibility here? Say it to your parents. For me, like when I first did this exercise, I realized, man, it feels like my parents are completely out of my control. I have no power in anything that they do. And then I asked myself, where am I not taking responsibility for this? And I had to tell myself, yo, I'm taking responsibility. I'm not taking responsibility for just everything that they do. I'm trying to change who they are, not just accepting that my parents are my parents. I can't change other people. I can only focus on how I respond to it. Whether I start freaking out or I ignore them and shut myself down. If I focus on what I need to do instead of getting emotional over what they're telling me or what they're yelling at me or whatever it is. And yeah, that sounds a little harsh. It is. Not every situation with responsibility is going to make your life like a fairy tale. It's not going to be rainbows and unicorns. But responsibility, accountability, gives you the choice to take hold of your actions. It's if you get angry, you take accountability for getting angry. Maybe it was worth it. Maybe it wasn't. You take accountability for that, regardless of the fact that you yelled. You chose to make that decision for good or for bad. And track this. Use a time tracker or look in a habit, like maybe in money, and you're completely losing the money that you're putting in. You're making $500 a month and you're spending 1,000, and you don't know what's going on. Look at your habits, track them, find a way to get pure, unadulterated accountability for what you're doing. Figure it out. Look and track every single purchase that you make to see, hey, do I really need this? Why am I doing this? And when you track things, it eliminates that human urge to, how do I say it, hide or make excuses for the things that you're doing. When you track things down, for example, productivity, for me, when I first started doing it, I realized that I was completely responsible for how I was spending my time, and I was wasting my time in a lot of ways. And when I tracked it, there's no sugarcoating it. I had to look it straight in the eye. So whatever your habit is, wherever you feel like you're out of control, you're not taking responsibility, track that sort of area. You know, money, finances, women, time, right? Going to bed, habit tracking. Like, figure out ways to track what you're trying to do and use it to keep you accountable and see, hey, I'm responsible for what I did today. This is how I'm going to change it. This is how I'm going to take action. This is how I'm going to make it better for the next day. This is how I'm going to change it and take accountability for my actions. Because when you take accountability for your actions, you hold the power. You have the control in your life, and you decide where you go. Your choices do matter, and it's up to you to make those choices. And I'm going to take accountability too. There have been days where I don't want to make YouTube videos. There are times in my life where I'm settling for less than I'm capable of. Yesterday, I wasted some time after I accomplished the most important tasks in my day. I just felt kind of like I could have done better, but I didn't take accountability for my actions. I slacked off. I know I could have done better, but I didn't. And I'm not perfect at this. Like, I still have a lot of growth to do. But the fact is, if I take accountability, I know I can change. It makes me know that I have a second chance. There's more to be had ahead of this. And that is powerful because it makes me want to keep getting better. I look at other people who have more success than me or have things that I would like in my life. And I may get jealous, but then I take accountability for my action and say, they deserve that. They worked for it, and it's up to me to make that change to see if I truly want it. Because if I don't have what I want, that means I need to keep working for it, or I'm not putting the work in necessary. It's nobody else's fault except me. I have the power to change. That's powerful. If I can change over 31 months to make this sort of progress, my hope is if you start taking accountability now and take it from someone who went through that deep, dark phase, you could make progress so much faster in your life. You could take control of everything. I mean, everything in your life. And you could change too. It's in your hands. I know you could do it. You are very capable of doing this. So take accountability for your life. Thank you for watching this video. I'm very grateful for you doing that. Have a good one. Peace.